Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 16 of What If Naruto was told about the Uzumaki Clan from the beginning. If you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And go ahead and check out the brand new episode over on Anime King 3 of What If Naruto was neglected with Josh and sealed inside of him. And on Anime King 2 I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto was neglected and lost everything. Yes, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels. Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off. As Uzo refused any help from Konoha or the Sand, despite knowing that 2 great nations are after them, they didn't want any help at all. As we found Naruto at the wave, where Kisame arrived there as they started to speak, as Kisame was still a part of the Akatsuki, as he would be needed in this upcoming war. Kisame was curious though as he swung Samehata after Naruto, but Naruto blocked it as Kisame was surprised because Naruto did not even move a single inch. As Naruto told him perhaps he will have a spar soon, but not now, as he realized that he was fighting a clone, as the real Naruto walked off with Haku. Kabuto showed up at the Uzumaki Empire, because he revealed himself to Neri as Neri brought him there, as Kabuto wanted to be helpful to the Uzumaki Empire, so that he wouldn't be killed basically, as he knew that sooner or later they would find him, and they would execute him on the spot, so that is why he's willing to share anything that he could, to join their ranks. As Naruto permitted for now, he said, as Kabuto was brought towards Yoshino, and with a sealing tattoo on him, Kabuto really couldn't do anything. As the way they were talking, Kabuto wanted to know that if Yoshino was a leader or was it Naruto, but the way he spoke about Naruto, there was no doubt that Naruto wasn't a leader. Naruto made his way towards Kiri as Mei was concerned about the upcoming war that was going to start. She didn't want any part of it, as Naruto didn't want her to get involved either, but she could see that Uzo planned this all. But Naruto told her that Uzo did not everything just fall into formation. But with him existing and his village being out there, well, that wasn't a problem after all. With that, Naruto made his way as he found Kakazo and Hidan. Hidan tried to attack him as Naruto disabled him within a minute. As Kakazo did not attack Naruto though, Zetsu finally showed his head. As Zetsu told Naruto that he knew from the beginning. After all, he could have spread the secret and told everyone, told the Saiyan Stone or everything, but he did not. But it didn't matter, he was gonna continue this plan, and Mother Uchiha will be brought back. As Naruto seemed nonchalant and calm about this, as he told Kakazo where to go, as he told Kakazo that Hidan would be back normal in a few minutes with that he made his way. On the other hand, Onki and the Raikage was pissed off, as the both of them were gonna rain hell down on Uzo. As Naruto arrived back, as he told Kurosaki that she would leave, Kurosaki didn't, well, shout as much, or didn't try to attack Naruto as well because she was exhausted physically and mentally. She has been beaten repeatedly while she tried to assassinate the Emperor. And she told him that he would pay the same way. When he let her out of here, he would pay. As Naruto told her that only he would die, and there's nothing she can really do to stop it. It's just a matter of fact if she wants to die with him as well. As he made her got taken away, as they were gonna drop her off. She really thought that Naruto was scared of Onki, that is why he was giving her up, but it was a complete opposite, as he had something planned for her. As Naruto sat down with Yujito, who was rather calm, as she was rather glad that Kurosaki was gone, the girl was rather loud and always cursing. As Naruto told her perhaps he can give her a tour in the village soon enough. He will keep her informed though. So yeah guys, those basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the play sector for this episode begins new episode. We begin this new episode in the sand. Training exercises, everyone is taking part. Although she had students, Tamara believed she should get herself ready as well. After all, war was coming, even though it looked like they were only going to be spectating and watching. They still had to be ready for anything. There was no telling what was going to happen tomorrow. Even Konoha has been preparing for war over the past years. The sand wasn't as strong as the other villages, but at least in this village, in the middle of the desert, an invasion was unlikely. Not while Gar was alive. Her brother could turn the desert into a mass graveyard for any army that tried to attack the sand. Temari wiped the sweat away from her brow as she released a long breath. She missed having a partner. The time that Naruto spent in this village, she was pushed. Because he controlled the wind like it was an extension of his body. He certainly had unique control over wind. She prided herself as one of the best wind users in the elemental country, but he was just extraordinary. You would think that he had a bloodline, but no. It was all just control and an understanding on how wind chakra works. Thinking about the blonde made her frown. They had a good thing going before he ruined it. And when she went to go and see him in Uzo, he was cold. She had ended up leaving without even having that dinner with him. He was really different from a teasing blonde that warmed his way into her heart. He was like a different man sitting on that throne. She hadn't known anything about him. Then again, he hasn't been the most revealing person. She held her fan as she felt a cold air washed over her. A gentle breeze that made her turn around quickly. And there he was. He was wearing civilian clothes. Hair black. But she could not mistake his eyes, his presence, and that little smile that annoyed her whenever he was in her presence. I think you were just thinking about me, he suddenly said. I thought I would honor it by making an appearance. She scoffed. Yeah, right, she said. He did not lose his smile. There's no need to be shy. I know that you were thinking of me, he said. I also think about you and the things that we did, when it was just the two of us. Do you remember the first time that we did? How could she forget at that time? She had completely surrendered herself to him. She allowed him to do what he wanted and he undressed her. He caressed her and made her feel good. The thought made her cheeks flush slightly, but she shook it off and replaced it with anger. Is that why you came here? To remind me about the old days? Yes and no. But those days were good, yes. She refused to acknowledge that. What do you want, she said. Tell me what do you want, your majesty, she asked. Sarcasm dripping from her tone. Naruto's sigh, sarcasm, isn't really helping with anything, you know? Do you know how I was able to make the air feel slightly cold? It is because I was trying to recreate ice. Wind and water make ice. I thought if I could combine the two elements it would work. But it did not work out. You were trying to recreate something that is possible through a bloodline, Temari said, with a flat look on her face. My wind control is excellent. And I thought there was no jutsu that would be impossible to learn. You must have been crushed, she said. Disappointed, yes. But I was not crushed. A pity, she said. No, that is just cold, dear, said Naruto. I'm cold now. You were cold towards me when I came to Uzo. You pretty much had no interest in the business that I came to conduct with you. I won't deny that, but I did not come here for business. I am here on personal issues. That is why I even bother with disguise. And yet you still couldn't get rid of the Uzumaki Clan symbol. He did not look down at the symbol on his chest. He just shook his head. Couldn't help it, it would feel weird, wearing clothing that doesn't have any symbol on it. You need help, she said. As Naruto laughed at that. I don't think that we need to go that far. We all have certain things that we don't want to get separated from. I love my clan, the symbols. Made me feel proud to be a Uzumaki. Well, it's rather useless being transformed like that. And maintain the mark on your chest. Perhaps, said Naruto as he moved closer. When he got too close, he backed away. What do you want, she said. I came to see you. Why, she asked. As Naruto looked up to the heavens. I grew to know you in this training ground. Of course, there was a certain distance that I kept up, but it did not change that I found you likable. Perhaps for the first time, I had learned to like a girl. Dealing with that was not my strength. I also had many things to do and I prioritized, and that is where I failed. I went wrong in some parts, and I failed you, Temari. As he looked deep in her eyes, I admit that, he said, with a bitter smile, and I am sorry for making you go through the pain of losing me. I am sorry for not telling you anything. I should have, but a flawed part of me at times thinks that everyone has emotional problems like I do. So you admit that you have problems, she said. Perhaps to you have been nice, but to most people, I feel nothing. I express nothing. My childhood forced me to keep things locked up. The third once tried to make friends. I tried, I really did. And you know what? Those people had no desire to befriend me. They pretended and led me into a death trap. And from then I just stopped trying. I always thought that you were different from what my brother was, said Temari. In some ways, yes. But I was not a better person. That's at least what I tell myself. The good thing is I taught myself not to hate long ago. There was just too much for me to hate. Each time I thought about my anger, I heard the voice of the fox. And the chocolate would leak out. And I knew that I had to keep myself on the wrap because, if I did not, I would not become what I wanted to become. And how did you deal with that, she said. I adopted. A thinking mindset. I understand that you were hurt, and I'm at fault for that. You understand, she said, in a bitter tone. And yet you just watch me suffer without even telling me anything. You could have saved me a lot of pain and just popped out of nowhere and tell me that you're alive. I am not that cruel, he said. Huh? What does that mean? I could not brought myself to come here and watch you suffer. I did not even step out of Uzo. I don't want you to think I'm a cold-hearted person that doesn't care about anyone. Well, it looked that way to me, she said. I don't blame you for seeing that way. But regardless, just know that this cold-hearted person admire you. I came here for that, not because I want to see you naked. Could you not say such things with that straight face, she asked. Why? Does it make you feel embarrassed? Or did you just picture something naughty? She swung her fan after him as he ducked under it. I did not know you became such a naughty girl, Tamara, he said, as he backed away. I'm not, she said. Really? Said Naruto. As he disappeared in a burst of speed, he appeared behind her, both of his hands wrapped around her waist, as he leaned over her right ear. If I were to move my hands down, while whispering sweet things to you, would you not have dirty thoughts? I would grab that thing between your leg and break it, before you say a single word, she said. What would please you if you do such thing, Tamari? I don't remember you having such a discontent for that thing. On the other hand, I remember that you were very eager for me to... She stomped on his feet. You are seeing illusion, she said. I never said that you satisfy me. As Naruto laughed as his hands moved up slowly, as he kissed her on her neck before speaking. See? You're not denying me. And you had a pleasant look on your face while you were in Konoha. She twisted around to look at him, and he was still smiling. She glared at those lips. God, she had missed him. She shook her head. It was a pleasure seeing you and speak to you once more. Please invite me when you want to see me. I will be eagerly waiting for that invite. As he dispersed in the wing. This wasn't so bad. Perhaps she could invite him sometime and Gara didn't need to know that he was here. No, she couldn't keep that away from him, not when he had been so supportive for the past couple of years. She then made her way back towards the Kage Tower. She was a bit tired from her training. When she arrived there though, she was surprised to see that Shikamaru was there, talking to Gara. Hey Tamari, he greeted lazily as usual. Shikamaru, I didn't know that you were coming to the stand, she said. It was something hurried, said Shikamaru. Tamari nodded with Shikamaru around. She could not tell Gara about Naruto's personal visit. It wasn't politics, it was personal. So, what brings you to the Hidden Stand? War. Well, at least how we observe it, Konoha doesn't want to take part in it, even if Uzo is being destroyed. Shikamaru nodded. I've spoken with the Emperor. He made it absolutely clear he didn't want any help. He also gave you the same message, Tamari. Besides, if Konoha gets involved, the Stand gets involved, and it become a wild-scale Shinobu World War. There is more loss and damage on things happening like that, but it will still be cruel to see another village being destroyed and do nothing, said Gara. I don't think that Uzo will get destroyed. Even if the Uzumakis lose the war, Uzo will still remain standing, said Shikamaru. On another note, the Emperor said that he's willing to open dialogues and engage in something useful, probably when the war is over, and he would like it if you and I can work together. Why, said Tamari. He dismissed me the last time I was there. A calculated move on his part. We have a chance, and we have to work something out with him. Time skip at Uzo. As Naruto was at the back of his compound, peaceful zone of water running through the streams that were in the garden. He looked checked out, like he wasn't even there. Naoki arrived and looked for a long minute, as Naoki then clapped, but Naruto didn't even blink or move at the sound. He then whispered, your former sensei is waiting for you in the throne room. Who invited him, said Naruto. You should know he needs no invitation to move around. Bring him here, said Naruto. Yes, your majesty. 2 minutes later, slowly and cautiously, Jiraiya walked towards Naruto. He was brought to the back. The Sannin could not even feel Naruto at all, like he wasn't even there. It was one of those days as Naruto was simply staring out in space. Since he spoke to Shikamaru, he felt like he could get some minutes with the blonde as well, but the blonde did not react. As Jiraiya settled down with a heavy sigh, he glanced at Naruto for a moment, before looking at the beautiful crafty garden. I see that you're still sentimental, said Jiraiya, as he summoned his bottle from a storage scroll. I have not lost of things, said Naruto. I wonder about that, Jiraiya said. I don't see women around here. This place is rather lonely. And I didn't hear word about you hitting up the bars. Can you imagine the Emperor sitting in a bar alone, said Naruto. I don't seem to recall always being surrounded by a woman as well. Sure, I had my moments, but not always. Jiraiya nodded. I'm hoping that you can use your influence to get me a present before I leave. I saw some beautiful girls around here. With you around, I'm sure I can get some motivation for my next book. I think I would call it The Emperor's Paradise, Naruto finished. You're growing old, Jiraiya. Do you think it is wise to waste your life working on your books? You will die without leaving behind a legacy in this world. And who should I blame for that, said Jiraiya. Your attitude and negligence, said Naruto in a flat tone. That is rather harsh, Jiraiya said, as he took a sip of his sake. I don't recall ever being gentle with you. Besides, you're not a child. What about you, Jiraiya said. What about me, Sensei? Nagato still called you Sensei, said Naruto. I do believe that he will always be remembered in his heart. Well, you did help him form a great childhood. Jiraiya snorted. I find that hard to believe. He is willing to kill me not too long ago. And the Nagato that is now alive is not Nagato I trained long ago. For their dreams, people do anything. It doesn't matter if. You care for that person if they're standing in your dreams. You would take them down no matter what. They won't hesitate to stab you in the back with a knife when you're not looking. The only thing in those words that gave me comfort is that I know that despite everything, you won't do that to me. You'd rather face me in death in a battle. So tell me, Jiraiya asks, what kind of legacy are you going to leave behind? That question does not deserve a response. I'm in a good mood today, said Naruto. You are welcome, but tomorrow, you will not be welcome. Use your time wisely, Jiraiya-sensei. Jiraiya frowned. You would probably ignore me if I talk about your goals. Shall we reminisce about the past, Jiraiya asks. Time skip. As Naruto was sitting on his throne, no doubt will Jiraiya go towards the hidden ring to speak to Nagato. Unless he's grounded. He will be a nuisance trying to ruin something. As Nioke looked towards Naruto, he was just sharing a drink with the man, and they were reminiscing about the past. Do you think he will leak anything to Kumo or the stone? No, but he will stand in the way, said Naruto. Jiraiya would try to stop things for his peace, but Naruto did not care about the man's peace. He didn't care what Jiraiya wanted, what his father wanted. That was not his goal. And Naruto knew if Jiraiya was going to stand in the way, Nagato would remove him. Konoha has already been warned. It does appear that Sand would not make any movements, unlike Konoha. The village is very nosy. They haven't made any movements in Sound Country, but once they know about it, they will. Gorin will deal without it without involving us. You will offer her the support that she demands. We have been talking about war for a long time now. We need to make sure it happens. If A and Unki would not begin it, we have to force their hand. They're actually meeting soon to discuss their strategy. Naruto smiled at that. A good way to stretch his muscles, he thought to himself. Do you know the location? Naturally, said Nyori. We will go there and have a small sparring session with the Kages. I should give them a reason for them to mobilize things quickly. They're acting too slowly for my liking. I'm getting really bored now. If nothing happens, I will most likely attack one of them by myself. You must not do that, Your Majesty. If you do that, it will change the direction that we decide to take, said Nyoke. Directions can be changed in time. Besides, I'm the Emperor. If we want to do things, we do them. But I'll restrain myself, but not on the battlefield. I wonder about that. Do you want me to go with you, said Nyoke. He shook his head. You annoy me these days. Neri will move with me. His look then became cold like ice. You two reveal yourself to a person from Kumo, and I specifically told you not to intervene. There was silence as they looked at each other. As Nyoke spoke, well, we didn't interfere. We just observed. Coincidentally, it happened while C was watching, he said with a weak smile. As Naruto stared at the man for a long while. You're lying, Nyoke. I dislike that about you. You think you know me best and tend to act, knowing that I will be fine. Normally, if things don't backfire, I'm fine with it. But if things go wrong, and I've told you not to move, it displeased me very much. Nyoke's smile vanished, but Neri was the one to respond. Has something happened, Your Majesty? Why do you two think I kept you away and introduced Haku and Gorin as my guards, while you two are my real guards? Sometimes you act too much for your own amusement and don't consider possibilities and scenarios. Nothing happened, but you appear in conversation as C reported the both of you to A. Nyoke, I knew it was your decision to go out. If this happened again, you two are done, said Naruto. Understood, Your Majesty, they said. Neri, come. We will travel to have some fun with Oniki and A, said Naruto. What about the council meeting, Your Majesty? I'm no longer interested in going, said Naruto. But I do have to go to make them obedient, don't I? Time skip. Council chambers. The council was full up with old geezers who have been playing politics for a long while. And Naruto was not really a man that focused that much on politics. He get bored easily. And they were trying to play their cards with Naruto, trying to play politics with him, not knowing that that was a really dangerous game. Yoshino respected them, but he did not follow them. They taught him many things. Hell, they even taught Naruto certain things about Uzumaki arts. But none of them can claim to be a teacher of Naruto when it comes towards Funjutsu. Yoshino looked around their own table. As his eyes stopped on the old man that raised him, he nodded towards the old man but said nothing. Perhaps it was the old man's presence in the council that was pushing him to become the emperor of Ozu. Yoshino did not deserve it. and he did not want it. He had his own throne already. Yoshino, it has come to our attention that you were the one that proposed that Haku be put in his current position. He is indeed a bloodline holder, but he's not a Uzumaki. The firm voice of his grandfather said. Naruto had yet to arrive at the meeting. He would come too. Yes, that was my proposal, said Yoshino. Why would you propose something like that? Naruhiro could have played a role. Naruhiro cannot provide the kind of protection that is required. That aside, I require Naruhiro's service here in Uza. Protection? They snorted. It was like Naruto need any protection from anyone. Regardless, that is what we have chosen. You have changed, Yoshino. You're not seeing things in the same light as we do. And we cannot have someone like that. We will train someone else to take over Uza and groom someone else to be the emperor. I suggest you start training someone right now because I don't plan to be leader of this village for the rest of my life. As for who will become the emperor, Naruto is the one that will determine who will succeed him. Rules can be changed anytime. Besides, Naruto will not live a long life. If he still plans on releasing the Kyuubi, he has already used some of his life force to get himself where he is. Yoshino was not going to tell him that everything could work out if Karen was successful in her experiments. With Kabuto in the mix, Naruto Uzumaki genes will be flourishing, and he would live a long Uzumaki life. That may be true, said Yoshino. The door burst open as Naruto walked in. His face was blank, no expression at all. He took his rightful seat as he placed both hands down before speaking. I won't take much of your time. We just need to sort out a couple of things and remind everyone of their roles, so that everyone can get back to their jobs. Well, at least some of us who have jobs. What's that supposed to mean? No one here has forgotten the rules that we have established. Each one of us agree when the rules were formed because we believe it was the best for the Empire. Perhaps we should remind you of the rules that we set up, Naruto. Well, a few people have not forgotten the rules. What is all this politics? Not long ago there was word that the council wanted Yoshino to be emperor, and now my decisions are being questioned. I have to say it wounds me that you people turn on me so quickly. Don't take too much on things that you hear from the street. But if Yoshino was the emperor, we would not complain. You are more suited to lead us through war, and once the war is over you can fold to the sidelines and allow Yoshino to rule. We don't trust your urges. You might lead us into another war, just for your amusement. These people were afraid. They were afraid of what happened in the past. They didn't want to go to war because of what happened to them back then. He had taken advantage of their fear to get what he wanted. Yoshino had been a big help. That says a lot about your confidence in me, said Naruto. Well, it was Yoshino's efforts that brought things to this level. If not for him, we wouldn't have been in this condition. Naruto looked amused. Uzu is the land of the Uzumakis. This is our home. And because I respect this place I made, Yoshino is leader, and you are all pleased with it. I don't even interfere with how Yoshino run this village. You even made him the unofficial head of the clan. But Netsuko, the wave, the sound, the rain, and the others that has been financially supporting us, they're all me. I brought them to the table, you did not. Yoshino did not. The empire is mine, and you will not tell me how to run it. You can do what you like with Uza, but the bigger picture is mine. And you don't have any say in what I do with it. I will rule until I die. My child will succeed me, and the rule will not be changed. If this attitude of yours continues, I will have you all placed in the orphanage in the island, said Naruto. And that was final. Time skip. Onki brought 30 shinobis, while the Raikage brought 17 as a tent was set up for the leaders to talk in, as the boatmen faced each other. As the Raikage was scowling, no matter how you look at me, I am still not going to admit for trying to kill you. If I was going to try to kill someone, it would have been someone in Konoha, said Onki. I'm no longer concerned about that. It might be that you were telling the truth when you said that you didn't plan anything. But it still doesn't change that it was your shinobi, and you refused to take responsibility for them, said the Raikage. Oniki shrugged. Taking responsibility would admit that I was the one that did, and I did not. But this is not why we came here. A nodded. Uzu has taken off my Jinjulkis and sent someone to inform me that it is war. The same was done to me, but they had taken my granddaughter. She was brought back, but now useless as a shinobi. She can't do anything at this point. I suggest that we put our problems on hold and focus on Uzu. We cannot afford to underestimate them. In the past, 3 nations worked together, and that was enough, said Onki. You're not going to attack me while my forces are moving to Uzu, are you? I really can't trust you with anything, said A. Neither can I, said Onki. But we have to agree that Uzu is a bigger threat right now. We will attack them, Onki said, and this time we will make sure that we get rid of them for good. No, my village is still interested in having Uzumaki, said A. I will be taking some of them to Kumo. Onikishi said this was always the case with the Raikage and Kumo their struggles because they always want to take power by force. The Haiga incident was because of this attitude. If you're taking some, then we will also do it. But since I can't trust you, our forces will have to invade Uzu together. You can't move in until we're both in position to do so. I am not against that, because you might invade, while my forces are marching to Uzumaki 8. How many are we both contributing? We can't move all of our forces. Our villages still need to be defended. 10,000 each, said Raikage. 20,000 should be enough to crush them and destroy anyone. Hopes of getting involved. We're not completely positive that Konoha will just sit back. They might think after Uzu, we'll be coming after them. You can't forget that for the past years they have been preparing for war. Yes, they will be a threat in the near future, Oniki said. Perhaps another Kage come in, but Snavi is a student. Of the third Hokage, she won't do anything that is going to start a war. The Leaf of the Old would already march out with their forces to ready to take us out. But not them. Not Snavi. She wants peace. Seconds later, as Naruto landed now, boom! Creating a sizable crater as he crashed into the earth. Dust picked up all around him as he started to walk towards Shinobis, calmly despite their weapons being out. Stone Shinobis behind and the front was covered by Kumo Shinobis. Oniki appeared within a second. I didn't think you'd be arrogant enough to appear here, he said, floating above the ground, as A emerged as well. As Naruto shifted his eyes and looked towards Oniki, I forget that you can fly. I have to say I'm rather envious of this ability. I can manipulate air currents to float me for a while, but it's not flying. If we were not enemies, I would have you teach me this ability of yours. Oniki was pissed off that the boy was annoying him and speaking about his ability. I see that you're the same brat who came to the stone and did not blink when I threatened to destroy Uzu. Why are you even talking to him? We should just capture him and we will be done with this war. Out of curiosity, which one of you take me if you capture me, said Naruto. That's a valid question, but we won't be drawn to have this argument, said Oniki. Oh, I don't want you guys to argue, even now. I'll be happy enough if you guys work together to attack me. I'm happy to indulge you. And in a battle, I'm quite curious to hear your thoughts. You think you can take on 2 Kages by yourself? The right Kage said that's not. Well, I don't really know my limits. I haven't had anyone to challenge me. So, I'm here to give it a test, said Naruto. Ridiculous, Oniki says. He flashed two hands as he spewed mud from his mouth. The mud then started to take shape. Naruto was not able to watch it all because the right Kage was upon him in the blink of an eye. The man right foot cleaved through the ground, ending towards Naruto's feet as Naruto jumped over the sweeping leg kick. As A threw a right punch towards his gut, know that he was in mid-air as Naruto caught it with both of his hands. A pushed Chakra into his feet to strengthen his momentum. As he used Naruto motion against him, he pulled and twisted Naruto around using Naruto hold on him to drag him along. As he hurled the blonde straight towards Oniki's golem, as Naruto's eyes looked bored, as he saw what he was heading towards, the golem and pulled his fist back to crash him into the earth. As Naruto brought his fist up, and he raised it, as both him and the golem fist connected, the golem fist shattered, and his body followed suit. While Naruto didn't have time, the moment he touched down, the right Kage was upon him. Naruto flashed away though before the man could attack him, as he appeared behind him a couple feet away. This is interesting, said Naruto. I didn't think that you worked well together. So, shall we talk about our war? Your obsession with power, right Kage, and Oniki, you being stubborn and refuse to listen to people. What about the war? It is your war, not our war. Don't pretend like you didn't want this, Oniki says. He flew towards Naruto, already flashing through hand sign. He encased his right fist in the rock, and it became large. As Naruto folded his hand, as the right fist connected into his defense. As he was sent sliding back a bit, A flashed behind him his right hand, cutting through the air at lightning speed. As he cut into Naruto, there was a poof of smoke, but there was still blood. As a stone shinobi fell down, after Naruto had substituted with him. As Naruto stood there calmly, I will not pretend this is my war, but you too deserve every bit of what is coming to you. I don't dislike the Raikage as I do you, Onki. But still, you two are going to war with me and we will fight this. Are you not curious about my reasons? You bastard! Given the fact that Naruto substituted one of their own, he was right in the crowd. As a fist came towards his face as he dodged it. As Naruto reached and gripped the man's face. You cannot act with such anger in battle otherwise. You move recklessly. The others create your distance and you jump in. And this is what happens. Naruto heard a buzz of lightning as he looked up. The Raikage was in front of him, surrounded by his lightning cloak. The man's right foot was aimed to slam into Naruto's gut. The moment it seemed like A was done touching, Naruto burst into gusts of winds. As A was sent sailing as he hit the ground, with a loud boom. As Naruto appeared distance away, but he was forced to stretch his arms out. His wall came from the earth and tried to press him together. Both rock-solid walls started to press on his hands to squash him in the center. As the pressure became too much, but Naruto's hands did not bend indeed. As the walls broke, as Naruto's hand broke right through them, but that left the two walls to slam on him in the center. When the debris cleared, Naruto was still standing there, but he had dust all over him. The right Kage flashed in front of him in a second, driving his fist towards Naruto's chest. A was surprised as Naruto folded his arms fast enough, as a fist smashed into it, knocking him away. As Naruto flipped several times before coming to a stop, he hits rather hard, he said. A leap as he brought his foot down the ox kick to crush Naruto under his might. As Naruto raised his hands up as a feet connected with it, the ground under Naruto exploded because of the force, and yet Naruto did not bend. Two rock arms came from the earth and grabbed Naruto. A violent gust of wind was burst on his body. The right Hage flashed away and the earth arms were severed. As the right Hage looked towards his body, if it wasn't for his lightning armor, well, I guess it's my time to go on the offensive, said Naruto. I guess I'll show you that you have to be a bit more serious. As he took a single step forward, the wind started to surround him, and he turned into a full-blown tornado. The tornado became so massive it rose high up in the air, and started to pull everything towards it. Unki instinct kicked in as he looked up in the sky. Floating just above him was none other than Naruto, with a Rasengan in his hand. I figured the right Hage would dodge this, given his speed, said Naruto as he slammed the Rasengan in Unki's back. Unki hardened his skin just in time to avoid damage from the Rasengan, as another Naruto was underneath him that grabbed him by his right foot and pulled him. Unki's body was reinforced as he hardened his body, so when Naruto slammed him into the ground, a massive crater was created. As the Naruto in the air flew down with another Rasengan in his hand, A appeared and slammed into Naruto with a tackle, but he poofed away. The real Naruto appeared behind the right Hage and slammed a punch towards his back, but the right Hage set her in a burst of speed. More speed. Naruto thought as he blurred away out of sight as well. The moment he landed, he was surrounded by Kumo and Stone Shinobis. He looked around at them. I am quite effective when I attack. I've learned a bit about your abilities, but I did not have the conversation I wanted. Well, it doesn't matter, said Naruto. The next time we meet, it shall be in battle, he said, as he took a couple of steps away from the trembling shinobi as he vanished. The shinobis fell on their knees, breathing heavily as they did. Well, that was dull, said Ray, as he walked into the scene. How can you not be nerved after being subjected to that sinister chakra, said C, as he held on to his stomach. He thought such chakra belonged to murderous beasts, but the Emperor, he had it in abundance. That was beyond human. I didn't say I wasn't, said Darui. Quite honestly, he was unnerved. If he had to face a person like that, quite honestly he would just give up and not bother to face them. A ignored their thought as he turned towards the Tishikage. I may have underestimated him. It's apparently like he was just playing with us. Playing with us. He barely called this a battlefield, and he wasn't taking anything seriously. Onki said in a dangerous tone. Yes, a dangerous foe that we have underestimated. This is more of a reason why we must fight this war. I will prepare my shinobi for battle. We have a war, Tishikage. Indeed, Onki said. I have already sent out some shinobi to sound a warning to the inner ring. I heard that they had some connections with Oza. If we can remove them without having to fight them, it cleared the path for my shinobi to pass through. We will go through the sea and land, he said, but I expect to hear from you soon. Move out as soon as we can so that we can discuss progress. We will meet at the land of hot water in a week. Time skip. As Naruto was a distance away from the battlefield, were you satisfied? Near asked the Emperor. Not even a little, said Naruto. But it does look like the battle would be interesting. I am looking forward to face Raikage. The only complaint I have about him is that he doesn't have a ninjutsu arsenal. He depends too much on his speed and strength to fight. Onki has interesting jutsus. He didn't use his most powerful, but he's too slow. Old age perhaps. It seems like you are more interested in analyzing their fighting style. You think so, said Naruto. It appears so, said Neri. But that is not a bad thing at all. I believe that you will engage in a different fighting style when you do meet them again. I am going to go all out, said Naruto. I did not learn all my ninjutsu to keep them hidden. But when facing someone like Raikage, ninjutsu is a bit useless because of his speed. Regardless though, it could be interesting, said Naruto. At Konoha, Kakashi informed him that overuses of the Mangekyo Sharingan turned him blind. But Sasuke did not listen. He knew what he needed to do to cure his eyes, but Itachi's eyes were nowhere. Someone had taken his brother's body before he could recover from the battle. It was something that was bothering him, and he now knew who was behind it. It was Naruto. He felt like Naruto had something to do with it. Itachi had warned him to be cautious of the blonde. He could no longer keep it a secret. His eyes were already starting to get blurry, overusing it for the past couple of years. As he entered the office to find Tsunade speaking with Jiraiya, I need to take some time off, he suddenly said. Tsunade would have been annoyed with his attitude if she wasn't already used to it. The more he spent doing dirty work in the darkness, the more silent he became. He was like a ghost within this village. You rarely saw him. Why, she said. Last time I asked you to rest, you said that you didn't need it. I need it now, said Sasuke quietly. You're not answering my question, and I won't release you unless you work with me. Perhaps she could help him temporarily. The permanent solution was getting Itachi's eyes. My eyesight is deteriorating. I have overused the Sharingan and it's put massive strain on my eyes. Tsunade went silent. Not a good time to be getting blind, she said. Jiraiya nodded that. Anytime, no war could be happening. I'll be there when I'm needed, but I need to take it easy. Snelly heard about this before, but she never studied herself to see if she could come up with a solution. This was a chance. If it was a sickness, it could be cured. How long, she said. A couple of months now, said Sasuke. And you didn't think it was important to tell me this, she asked. There has never been any record of anyone being healed from the blindness. I didn't think there was anything that you could do, said Sasuke. And we still haven't recovered. Itachi's body snatched with a frown. I will give you your time off, rest for a week, and come back to me. I will see if I can study and come up with a way to cure it. I will come, said Sasuke as he left. Snelly sighed once he was gone. Just when you think everything is going well, this happens. Do you think Naruto knows? I don't know, Jiraiya said. I don't know anything with him anymore. I sat with him for an hour talking about the past, and he didn't let a damn thing slip. I don't even know what he's thinking anymore. But if it isn't him, who took Itachi's body? The Akatsuki, Jiraiya suggested. He was a member of the organization. They probably took him because of what he had in his mind. Or maybe it was Naruto that did it. But if it was Naruto, that means he was watching the battle or having someone observe it for him. Well, given everything, it wouldn't be far-fetched. But why would he even go that far? I knew that he was never good with Sasuke, but he's not a petty person. You're forgetting the best trait about him, said Jiraiya. He's a very calculated person. If it was him, we can speculate that he's been waiting for this exact moment. Snelly frowned. I hope that is not the case, she said. I read a message from Miss Kagi. She wants me to discuss Uza. She had connection with the Emperor, and I knew that he was recently there. She probably knew what they're after. You should meet her. Perhaps you can get something out of her, said Jiraiya. Time skip at Uza. The war room. After all, it was time for war. Nagato looked at her room. He was in his holographic image, along with Konan, Yoshino, Naoki, and Naruto's already in the room. What is happening, said Nagato. The Stone and Kumo are mobilizing. We calculate that the first wave of attack will probably be at the Hidden Rain. They will probably try to test you, to clear the path for their main force to pass through. It is likely that the Stone will do this. They're far closer than Kumo. Kumo will likely move in the sea and land. Then you are free to crush them. Without mercy, said Naruto. I will come to join you afterwards. For now, we remind ourselves of this dream and responsibility to make it happen. How you plan to handle Konoha once this is all over, said Konan. They're not going to agree to anything that happened to both Kumo and the Stone. If they don't agree, we'll have problems, trying to maintain the balance and peace. It will be a disaster if we end up needing another war to start things out. Naruto did not thought of the possibility of such a thing happening. With Gaara and Mizukage actually stick together to go against him. An insane part of him thought that it was just ridiculous, but Nagato and Konan raised rational questions. Konoha will resist, but I doubt that Mizukage and Gaara will enter into agreement that see them wage a war on us. Say Yoshino, while Naruto was still deep in thought, their personalities would not allow them. That aside, as long as we're reasonable in what we do, we won't start a war with them. This must mean that we be diplomatic in our means. Kumo and the Stone must be given an independence, give them a sense of freedom. If we are too strict and give them a chance to breathe, they will stab us in the back the moment we show a bit of weakness. Aside from that, we are done with the preparations in the island. Once things are set, we will allow the Kages to be judges and carry out those judgments. We just have to ensure that we give them authority, but yet make sure they listen to us, said Yoshino. What about Zetsu's threat? It has not diminished, said Naruto. He has warned me that Madara will return to this world. We will be cautious of this. If we had moved in quickly, we would have taken his body, but Zetsu move faster. Regardless, if we're on guard, we can manage things, said Naruto. For now, it is war. We will be on lookout for the Stone movements. If we see them, they will be destroyed, said Nagato. As he disappeared, as Naruto walked out of the room, the others following behind him. The sand should not be a problem, but their daimyo might be a problem. All of them should be silenced. Their political power is not something that we want right now. We are working on that, said Neri. The only issue that remains is the war to daimyo. We have yet to hear anything from Haku regarding his mission. Summon him, Naruto ordered. Yes, said Neri, as he was gone in a second. Should we be concerned, asked Yoshino. Haku is probably working out the diplomatic means. He probably went to have a nice talk with the Mizukage. I don't disagree with that, but there's a time limit that we must work within. Will my position change? Asked Yoshino, as Naruto shook his head. When have I flip-flop on you, Yoshino? I don't usually say this, but all of this wouldn't have been possible without your efforts. I will honor my promises to you. And if I turn on you, you can always organize a revolt. Yoshino smiled at that. You would kill us all, he said. You know that is not true. I love the Uzumaki, said Naruto. I swore to restore the glory of this land and make it even greater. I will manage the elders, Yoshino said. You don't have to concern yourself with them. It is true that you're not a full-blooded Uzumaki, but that doesn't make you any less of Uzumaki. Regardless, they're probably worried about your recklessness. Before I met you, I did have plans to restore this village, but I lacked the will to do so. But now, because of you, as long as it's my duty to lead and protect it, there's nothing else I want, not your throne, said Yoshino. I have never doubted your commitment, Yoshino. Our task will be large to reshape the world once we have taken over. We must put a system that will last. It will be a challenge worth tackling, said Yoshino. I've met someone. I would like you to meet her, not as the emperor, but as my cousin. We're family, and I don't have anyone else. It would mean much to me if we can do this. Tell me the date, said Naruto, and I will call Karen to come back. I will have to get the best drink first, but I'll let you know, said Yoshino as he bowed. And with that he was gone. Family, huh? As Naruto turned towards the memorial wall, there was a wall that was untouched. The name of the Uzumakis that fell. Kushina was not there, seeing that she wasn't here, but the name of his grandparents, they were there. That made him knew that he belonged here. He belonged with the Uzumakis. This was his beloved home. Konoha could be destroyed by the Kyuubi once more, and he wouldn't even blink. But in this village, he would bite into his life force to protect it. What he said, as Nyoki materialized right beside him. The stone is moving towards the rain. It is a force of 1,000 shinobis. They're not the main army, they're just there to clear the way, so the main force can pass through. 1,000, huh? How long until they reach the rain? With the pace that they're going, tomorrow morning. Is Nagito already aware of it? Yes. Both he and Konan are already prepared. He will not allow them to get close to the hidden rain. It is their desire the rain do not suffer anymore in this war. They want their village to remain in peace even in this war. Well, that means Nagito is gonna go all out to face dangers thanks to Naruto. His shinobis will only move in when there is actual danger. Well, as long as he holds on, I won't complain. On our side, Naruto asks, Kumos like to move around 2,000 from sea, and the rest are on the land. But they're not moving quickly, I assume. They're still waiting for the stone. We will move towards the rain. I want to watch a path in action, I'm sure. Nagito will not go to the field despite regain his mobility. All thanks to the power of the Kyuubi and Karen. Should I inform Yoshino? Yes. He will make all necessary arrangements with his men. The next day, Rain Country. Kisaki looked ahead with mixed feelings. He had enough men to make the hidden rain move aside. The village was never considered that powerful before, but there was word that leader of the Akatsuki resided in the village. Regardless, he still had to clear the path to the main force. His movements came to a halt when he sensed something. Halt! As he looked up at the sky, there was a large bird coming towards him with speed. He held his hands together, preparing for anything. Something jumped from the bird and crashed into the ground with a loud explosion. It took some moments for the dust to clear, as the Devapath stood there. Konan descended beside their wings, flapping, as she looked over the stone army. It was just the two of them for this battle. Nagito had decided so. He didn't want to reveal his abilities when it was unnecessary. There was still a long way to go and more battles to fight. There is a number of them, said Konan. The third Raikage is said to fight and stop 10,000 shinobis. Do you think that we can't stop 1,000? Devapath said. She shook her head. Shinobi from the stone, what is your purpose? She said. We are here to request a way for the stone to safely pass through your country and secure a line of supply route. Kisaki hoped that he could find a peaceful way first before doing anything drastic. Denied, the Devapath said. I suppose if I asked you to leave now, you will not. Kisaki shook his head. The others are already planning to march. We cannot go back without a good response, he said in a firm tone. Onki had trusted him to do it. He was cautious though, those two. They were the only ones here, he couldn't sense it. They came here by themselves to fight him. And his army of 1,000 strong. I see, talking is pointless, said Devapath. Let us finish this quickly. Konan nodded as she started dissolving to paper. The path then shot forward at great speed, landing right in the center of them as he stretched his arms. Almighty push. A sound boom as the ground was ripped. Shinobis were sent sailing. Kisaki watched as his people and the earth was blown to pieces. Many of them were blasted into the air, screaming and shouting. The debris forced him to jump back and close his eyes. On debris clear, he was shocked. So many of his men were brought down in that single one attack. What the hell was that even? The bird then whisked past him as he moved. As Pain jumped on top of the bird that brought them here, as it flew up in the sky. Hey, what the hell is this? As some strange objects were on the ground that would lighten up. And they went off. Massive explosion that tore through the heart of the stone shinobis, blowing them to pieces. Kisaki saw butterflies coming down. Their bodies were made of... He was about to shout, but the paper bombs went off. A massive column of flames blew his shinobi's pieces. You think that was enough, said Konan. There's bound to be a handful that hid themselves on the ground, said Devapath. They won't be worth even finishing. We could even let them go. Good, said Konan, but she knew they were not going to do that. Nagato didn't have any mercy for them. The walls around Kitsuke broke down. Its upper body had some nasty burns, its breathing labored a bit. This was not a war or a battle. This was just an outright massacre done by only 2 people. He needed to send a message back to the stone about these abilities. He held his breath and dissolved into dust. I was expecting to see the paths in action. Dancing, said Naruto. It was the most efficient way to deal with them, said Tendo without looking behind him. I wouldn't disagree with that. The explosions were nice to see. Your unique ability still continue to impress me, Konan, said Naruto. But she did not respond to him. There are still survivors, Nagato, she said. Naruto sighed. She continued to be cold towards me, he said, in a sad tone. They need not to die. I wish to test the facilities that are on the island. They will become fine specimens to see if the bars can hold. We shall call them war criminals, said Naruto. Then our job is done here, Divapat said. The stone will likely bring more shinobis or choose another path. We might even have Kumo shinobis coming here. We must prepare the grounds around the hidden rain. We will contact you in case that happens, said Nagato. Later, at Osa. As Haku walked in Naruto's compound, the blonde was standing there with a bird on his shoulder. He looked still. He wasn't looking his way. As Haku stepped beside Naruto, I wasn't expecting to be so. He couldn't get to finish that sentence as Naruto grabbed him by the throat and lifted him off the ground. As Haku couldn't breathe, he had to make sure that he looked clearly to see was it real Naruto doing this to him. As he grabbed Naruto's hand and started to freeze him, as Naruto released him as he dropped to his knees, gasping for air. He paused. He hadn't sensed killing intent. When he looked up, the blonde wasn't smiling, but he wasn't looking at him with a cold look either. He was just calm as usual. You just tried to freeze the blood within my veins, said Naruto. You were strangling me. I say you deserve it. I should have just froze your entire hand. That would have been unpleasant. You're very comfortable around me. You would let your guard down completely. Was that a test, Haku said. You trust me this much and I've trusted you by giving you much responsibility. You're very kind and I like that about you. You offer something I can't offer. You will be the voice that brings reason. Once this war is over, if you feel like I'm going overboard, don't hesitate to use your ability to stop me. I sometimes take things too far. Today's the last day that you've seen me do something like that to you, said Naruto, as there was some emotion in his tone. But that isn't the reason I call you here. I want progress in your job, and I won't accept the lack of it. I have already spoken to the Water Daimyo, and I need some more time. He's already shared my discussion with the Mizukage. I'm going to be talking to him again very soon, so that we can finalize things, said Haku. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on the bell notifications to stay posted. Remember to share this with all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Lost Everything over on Anime King 2, guys, and enjoy that. And they also post a brand new episode over on Anime King 3 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Josh and Seal inside of him, so go ahead and check out that and enjoy. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, what do you give a hello to here. See you guys soon, peace out.